Hi, my name is Anuska and welcome to this video. And in this video, I wanted to share a little bit more about what I do and how I work with clients, the types of things I can really help people with to give you a little bit more understanding, because it is a semantic minefield, the whole world of voice training and voice coaching. So I'm going to hopefully shed a bit more light on it so you can make a more informed decision when you're looking for someone to help you with your voice. Now, there are many reasons people come and find someone like myself or seek someone like myself out. But just to give you a few examples, one really common example is people want to feel more confident when they're public speaking. So that's huge. And you could be a seasoned professional. You could be very senior. You could have a really high flying job, but you could still absolutely hate public speaking. So that's something I like to help clients with. You want to perhaps find more authority, strength, or power in your speaking voice. Maybe you feel it's a bit weak or it's a bit thin. Maybe you have high speaking demands. You're talking for hours every day and you find your voice fatigues quite easily. Maybe it gets raspy, croaky, or maybe you even lose your voice. It could also be things like you run out of breath when you're speaking. And just as another example, it could be that you just want to find more engagement and expression when you are speaking, and you just want to connect better to your team, to your audience, to your listeners through the power of your voice. As I said, my name is Anuska Taylor. I'm a voice teacher. I'm a Jungian coach and I'm a professional singer. So I have been studying voice for over 12 years now, and initially started my journey as a singing teacher, training, working with singers, and that's really what I've spent a lot of my time doing. However, over the past 5 or 6 years, I've started doing more and more training around the speaking voice, working with speech therapists and speech pathologists. And so I can really help clients in a very deep and profound way with their voice, because I have so much experience and knowledge now with the instrument that is the voice. I've also got over 5 years of training with working with Jungian psychology. I'm a certified Jungian life coach, and I find this work is absolutely profound in helping people have a much greater transformation with their voice, because we're really working from the inside out. And that's what, as I'll get to, that's what my work is all about. It's about working with the voice from the inside out, because my belief is the voice is an outer expression of our inner world. And then finally, as I mentioned, I am a professional singer, songwriter. The reason I say this is really because I walk my talk. I am using the techniques, the tools, the tips that I share with people all the time. I have high demands on my voice, both as a singer and a speaker, and I am putting this stuff into practice all the time. So I not only talk the talk, but I also walk the walk. So this can be a semantic minefield, and I'm going to try and simplify it for you, because there are so many different types of coaches out there related to communication and voice and speaking and public speaking. So I like to think of it, first of all, if we can simplify it into 2 buckets, which is clinical and non-clinical. Now, I don't work with any clinical clients, meaning I don't work with clients that have any kind of pathology, they've had any kind of disease or illness that's severely impacted their voice. There are many incredible voice clinicians and doctors out there that can absolutely help those types of clients. Now, the other side is the non-clinical side, which is where most people are. And by that, I mean, most people don't need the clinical intervention with their voice. And this is where we've got things like singing teachers, we've got acting coaches or acting teachers, drama teachers, we've got public speaking coaches, we've got speaker coaches, we've got communications experts and coaches. And so those types of people then could fall under that umbrella. Now, in my experience, and obviously I can't speak for every single coach, but in my experience, the singing teachers and the acting coaches tend to have a better grasp and understanding and knowledge of the actual voice that is the instrument. Then I find that the speaker coaches, the public speaking coaches, those types of coaches tend to work more with the expression of the voice, so storytelling and presentation skills, those types of things, which of course is really important, but it depends on what you need. So if your voice is functioning really, really well, then that's great. But if you have any kind of voice limitations or things that you feel are kind of really holding you back, those types of coaches probably don't have the expertise to deal with those types of issues. Now, my approach is deep. I've already mentioned the kind of Jungian psychology side of what I do. As I've mentioned, I've got the sort of singing training background. I've got a lot of the sort of technical understanding and the functional understanding of the voice. So I really work from the voice in a very profound and very deep way. I'm not only looking at it as a sort of physical instrument and how is it working and how does the voice actually optimally function, but I'm also looking at it as it's an expression of our inner world, as I mentioned. So when we are feeling limited by our voice in whatever way, whether that's breathiness, weakness, raspiness, croakiness, strain, tension, whatever we're experiencing with our voice, there is always some kind of emotional break on the voice. And it's usually unconscious to us. We don't know why we fear that expression. And so that's where the Jungian side of my work comes in, because the voice really forms part of our persona. We have to look at what is emotionally holding those vocal habits or patterns in place. And that's normally in our shadow. Now, this isn't necessarily bad. People hear the word shadow and they think, oh, that must be terrible. But it's both our light and our darkness, our perceived darkness, that goes into our shadow. And so for a lot of the women I work with, it's often they really have a fear of shining. They really have a fear of being heard. They really have a fear of being visible. And so it's not actually about something quote unquote negative. It's actually the opposite. It's actually about really allowing themselves to receive success and abundance in their life. And it plays out in the voice, because the voice will kind of shut down. Another aspect to my work, which I think is really important, is the kind of embodiment work. We have to get into our body. We have to really become aware of our body, not only in terms of the physical instrument, in terms of the breath and the throat and, you know, what we can perceive in terms of how we are using our instrument, but in terms of really connecting to our true power, to our true confidence. We have to really get still and really feel into our body, our heart, and our soul. And this is the part that I think is what takes you from that kind of surface confidence to that kind of deeper knowing confidence. And so, or that unshakable confidence. And that's really what you want if you're stepping out there day after day, week after week. The confidence comes from within. It's not an externally sourced confidence. And when we come from that ego mind, we are looking for everything outside of ourselves. We perceive ourselves to be separate. The world has got nothing to do with me. It's all separate. And so we're sort of seeking that validation outside of ourselves. This kind of embodiment work brings it back to us. We are the source of everything in our life, including our voice. So I think the simplest way I can answer this question is, are you willing to go deeper with the work? If you want quick tips, if you just want me to give you 5 ways to speak more confidently in a meeting, that's not what I do. I mean, you can find that perhaps on some of my videos. There's plenty of people out there that can offer that. There's plenty of online courses. That's not what I do. My work is really deep. And so there has to be a willingness and an openness to actually look within, because as I said, the voice is really an expression of our inner world. So it's a willingness to do the inner work, which is then going to transform the voice. And that could be both looking, you know, in terms of the Jungian side of it, the shadow work is a big part of the voice, as I said, because the voice forms part of our persona. So what we push into the shadow is what's going to be stopping our voice, essentially. There's also just the commitment to doing the kind of training and the exercises and that type of thing. The voice is a fine motor skill, so it's not going to change if you don't practice. So there's got to be a sort of general willingness to really commit the time to the work. You will be rewarded. because this is how things change. This is how transformation happens. The other way might get you through a meeting, it might get you through a pitch, and that's great if that's what you want, just a temporary result. But eventually you'll just revert back. You'll just go back to your old ways of doing things. This is where you actually just start to show up differently. And the beauty of this work is it's so much more than a voice sort of transformation. You feel differently because you've tapped into your own inner power, and you start to kind of notice more opportunities, you start to seek opportunities, you just show up in the world so much more powerfully. And so it has a kind of quite profound effect more broadly in your life. One client actually said to me she had this kind of understated confidence. And I think that's a really nice way of putting it, because we're not looking for that ego quick fix confidence, which is very much external. The ego is all about we are separate and the world's out there, and I need to get them to like me and them to do this and them to do that. This is bringing the power back to us. And so then if we have this unshakable inner confidence, it doesn't matter what our audience think of us. It doesn't matter if people perhaps don't like us or we don't get the business, because we are connected to ourselves. So it's a much, much deeper process, but it does mean we have to do the deep work. So I don't want to like totally scare you off, but I think if you've tried other things, maybe you've done online training before, maybe you've done more of the kind of the technical side of it, or maybe you've done more of the storytelling side of it, but you don't really feel like much has changed, it's probably because you haven't really accessed this deeper part that really has to be addressed for the bigger change. Finally, and I kind of mentioned this before with the voice, but I just want to make it very, very clear, because for those of you that know the work of Carl Jung, of course, he was a psychiatrist and he did work with mentally ill patients. Just like the voice, I don't work with people with sort of severe mental illness. I work with people who are just your regular person that struggles with things in life. We all feel anxiety, we all feel fear, we all feel sad, we all feel angry, we all feel joy, we all feel the range of emotions. Now, we might not allow ourselves to be aware of that, but they are there. And so it's just realizing that there's actually another level to this. And so it's really about going from ordinary to extraordinary function. Whereas I think with therapy, it's very much about just getting people to a normal level of functioning. Perhaps there's someone that just can't get out of bed. You know, they're just really struggling just to get through the day. And so this wouldn't be appropriate for those kinds of clients, perhaps in the future, but not right now. And so I just want to make that really clear. This is not therapy. This is coaching, both vocally and the emotional sort of psychological side as well. But my goodness, it is worth the investment of time. And of course, it's a financial investment as well, but it's more about a commitment to yourself. And the financial side always takes care of itself. So if any of this has resonated with you, I do offer free 20-minute voice consultations, which you can book, and I'll put the link below. And then we can have a proper chat and I can find out a little bit more about what it is you're looking for, because I just wanted to share a little bit about what I do, because I know, as I say, it can be a bit of a minefield. So if any of that has resonated, please do get in contact, or if you've got any other questions, feel free to get in contact, or you can post a comment below. Thank you so much, and I'll see you again.